So, the next phase in my journey, the next step that revealed itself was I had a customer that I had known for years. And it was one of those things where we had done business and she was on my email list and I ended up on her email list because she had her own things that she was doing. And I would get her emails and I would usually just read the title and go, nah, I don't think that's for me. It was a little more, energetic stuff and whatever, and that just wasn't something I was really open to. Being a conservative Christian, and it was just not something that I had ever like heard anything good about. I hadn't necessarily heard really bad things, but I'd never heard anything good about it either. And so something I just felt was safer to kind of stick with what I knew. But after having that initial experience in the first video that I shared, like I said, I was just open to things. I just was like looking for what else God had to show me. And so I got an email from her, and she was doing a like virtual summit with different speakers and things like that. And I just knew that it was free, and I just knew that I needed to be on the summit. I needed to hop on and see what she had to share. And so I did. And it was incredible, and it was eye-opening, and but it all felt good. It all felt right. And so there wasn't anything that was like heebie jeebie or like, ooh, I don't know, this feels off. There wasn't anything like that. So, I started, talking with her, and decided to do, my husband and I did Love Solve with her, which is something that she had come up with. And I won't go into a ton of detail. I'll put her website in the description. So if you want to look more into it, and if you want to like see what she's up to now, and talk to her about the Love Solve process, you can do that. But it basically, the short version of it is she has this thing where you go through these different wells. It's like a water well, right? And there are 4 different depths in the well, and they all represent a different like emotional layer. So there's anger and sadness and fear and guilt. Those are the 4 main in the negative emotional well. And so she talked to my husband and I about how we need to like work through those wells and find those things inside of us, and she has a method for helping to clear it out. And so we did that, and when we did that process, I found that pretty much all of my negative well was guilt. It like I was overflowing with guilt. I, partly because of my perfectionistic tendencies, or maybe entirely because of those, I just felt like I had so much responsibility. I had so many ways that I was supposed to be good and to live up to my potential. And every time I failed that, I was just laying on another layer of guilt. And I was trying to use guilt to motivate myself. I thought if I felt bad enough about failing in whatever area of my life it was, that guilt would motivate me to do better the next time, that it would somehow give me energy or power or whatever motivation. And turns out that's not how guilt works. It was just weighing me down. there's actually, if you look at the frequencies of emotions, shame and guilt are the two lowest frequencies. So they drag you down. They make it harder for you to do the things that you want to do or hope to do. They are not motivating in any way, shape, or form. But I was trying to use them as a motivator, or use it as a motivator. And so I just had so much guilt. And so we did this writing exercise, and I just wrote out all, like, she had these prompts, and seriously, I would just look at those prompts and just start bawling and just start writing. Like, there was probably 4 or 5 different prompts for the guilt. For anger and fear and sadness, I wrote like one sentence. Guilt was pages. It's funny, but it's not. It was an enormous eye opener for me to see. Sorry, get all emotional. How much I was putting myself down and making myself feel like I wasn't enough the way I was, and thinking that if I beat myself up enough that I would somehow change and be better. And unfortunately, I'm not the only one who does that. So if that resonates with you and that sounds about right, please stop. It's not helping. So that was huge. That was a really huge one for me. And I know there's a reason why I had that experience. There was a reason why I was led to click on that email and actually attend the summit and then work with Christine in this way, because clearing out that guilt, and it's an ongoing process, because it was a habit. It was a pretty ingrained habit to try and use guilt to motivate myself. So I still catch myself doing it now every once in a while. But I'm much better than I was. And I usually can catch it pretty early on. And I have tools now to work through that. But it was imperative that I take care of that before I could really move on spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, any of it. It was imperative that I deal with that guilt and realize, like, even just having an awareness of how much it was like taking over my life. A constant companion, and that's not the constant companion I want. Not guilt. So that was really massive for me, and that was my next experience. I know that's pretty short, and it doesn't give you a lot of detail of what all we did. But it was so huge. It was so huge for me. So being aware, maybe for you it's not guilt. Maybe one of those other emotional wells, the anger or fear / anxiety, or sadness, depression, those kinds of things. Maybe those are bigger for you than guilt. But honestly, I feel like guilt is kind of the base of almost all of them, right? So for me, it was huge. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more about Love Solve, you can reach out to me and we can talk about it, because I can do Love Solve now as well, but also working with Christine is always a joy. I still am connected with Christine and still participate in things that she does. And so I really love the work that she's doing, and she's helping to change people like me, just one person at a time, changing the world.